Okay, so why did you choose design as your career?
Because I was always interested in drawing. I was always interested in drawing when I was a kid, and when I left school originally, I didn't do it. I done something else for a number of years, and then when I was 26, I decided that I would rather be a designer. I was interested in being a designer, so I went back to college then at 26.
Okay, I see. So, what difficulties did you encounter after graduating?
I found it challenging to find work, both as a freelancer and as looking for a full-time employment with somebody else. Not long after I graduated from college, the Irish economy kind of collapsed and there was very few jobs, so that was quite challenging.
Okay, so in your opinion, what are the knowledge required to be a designer?
You need to be able to observe things and be able to take those things that you observe and then use that as inspiration for your designing. You need to be able to work through ideas till you come to a kind of satisfactory result, and you also have to accept that many ideas can be improved upon, and a lot of things students don't realise is good design takes time and it takes work. And I know I've said it to the class a number of times, but inspiration is for amateurs. You have to just get in and do the work, and you have to accept that. That's one of the main things.
Okay. So, what do you know about motion graphics?
I know a bit about motion graphics. I've done a little bit of it in the past. I haven't done it in a while. There's a number of areas in motion graphics, and one of the most interesting ones to me is the film titles or title sequences. I think there's some very interesting stuff done with title sequences and motion graphics related around that. I think there's a lot of movies now that the opening title sequence is actually better than the movie itself.
So, okay, in your perspective, is motion graphic growing enough? I mean, so that there's room for beginners like me.
So if you want to do motion graphics specifically, there's less jobs as a specific motion graphic designer. Often designers will do motion graphics, and they might do other types of design as well. Now there are a few companies that kind of specialise in that area. I think if you want to do motion graphics, you have to understand animation, like the standards of animation as well. You have to understand all that stuff. It's not just about making square boxes move across a screen. You have to understand filmmaking, you have to understand editing, you have to understand sound editing. So there's a lot in it. I think it's a viable thing to do, but you have to understand that there's a lot to be good and to be employable. You need to have quite a lot of skills. I also think that you need to find companies that do motion graphic work that you like. Now there are some companies that do more or less just kind of motion graphic, animation, film stuff, but there are some design studios who do traditional print design, digital design and motion graphics. So you have to kind of decide which one you're going to go for, but I would say go for a company that you like their work.
Okay. So, what qualification do you seek or expect when working with someone or working in a team with another designer or that kind of stuff?
Sorry, say that again?
What qualification do you seek or expect when working with someone?
You mean as in college qualification? Qualities?
Yeah, qualities.
I think someone should be work reasonably well in a team and be open to other people's suggestions. Also that people put in the correct amount of work, that they don't let themselves be carried by other people in the team. I think communication is really, really important. Some designers like to work alone, some designers work better in a team. I quite like working with people sometimes because you can bounce ideas off people, but that means that people have to be open and that they should. One thing that happens a lot of graduate students or students who've just graduated is that their identity and their sense of self is tied up in their work. So they get very sensitive to criticism and they can't open up. You need to let that go. the best work is a work that's kind of, you can talk to people, you can show people, you can accept criticism, you can make it better. I think it's very, very important. Your work is not you. Do you understand what I mean? You have to be able to let it go. I think that's very important in a team. But putting in the effort is important as well. Do you know what I mean? It's almost the most important thing, to put in the effort, because some people are lazy. Do you know what I mean? They don't do what they should do. But anyway.
Okay. So, do you have any advice for a designer who's going to graduate? And what are those?
Is it a particular type of designer or just designer in general?
I think designer in general.
Number one thing I would say is, if you're looking for work, as I said previously, try and apply to companies that you'd like to work for. So that means you look at their work and you say, I like that work. Remember that companies know you're just graduated. They don't expect you to be someone who has 10 years experience.
Yeah.
So you need to apply to the better studios, because in my experience, a lot of students, they're desperate for a job. They'll take any design job, and there's a lot of bad companies out there who treat people very badly. The work is very boring. They don't appreciate what a designer does, and then within a year, the student doesn't want to be a designer anymore because the work conditions are not good. So from the start, try and get into a company that you like their work and that you think will be a good place to work. So that means being somewhat ambitious. So don't just accept any old job that comes along. Now, I know you have to be practical as well, and people need money, but as much as you can, try and go for companies that you would like to work for, rather than just any company just to get a job. That would be my number one